Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Dear students, welcome back to our sessions for the subject Human Resource Management. In today's topic, we will talk about the strategic human resource management, which is very important when we talk about human resource practices. So this kind of management is not considering the functions of human resource management. Rather, it is linked to the strategy of the company, and that is why we will take this part as an important ingredient. We have the following objectives. We will outline the steps in the strategic management process. We will explain and give examples of each type of the company-wide and competitive strategy. We will explain what a strategy-oriented human resource management system is and why is it important. Now, when we talk about strategy is defined as a long-term kind of plan. In fact, it's a course of action a company will set to achieve its objectives. So that's why we have a plan. How an organization intends to match its internal strengths and the weaknesses with external opportunities and threats in order to maintain a competitive advantage. So strategic plan is actually based on both internal and external factors. So the kind of factors the organization have will be utilized in a way to come up with a competitive advantage that enables the company to compete better in the market. Strategic management, on the other hand, is the process of identifying and executing the organization's mission by matching its capabilities with the demands of its environment. And when we talk about the demand here, we're talking about customers in general, and also any kind of actions and strategies that must be adopted by the company to cope with the competition in the market. So it's in two domains here. One is about the customer, the other one is about the competition. For that reason, we have vision and mission. And as you studied before in many subjects, vision is how the organization sees itself in 5 years, for example. So the company visualizes itself according to the plan in a given way. So here we can define it as a general statement of an organization's intended direction that evokes emotional feelings in its members, which means that this kind of vision is given to employees all along the departments of the organizations to elicit the kind of behavior needed by the companies to achieve its objectives. So as we have visions, we will definitely have some the mission. Mission here is spelling out who the company is, what it does, and where it is headed. So mission is more detailed than vision. So one way to adopt a strategy to reach the vision is through mission. So that is why we try to break it down into some activities within this mission. Now the strategic management process. There are different steps here. The first step is you define the current business and mission at the current time. Step 2, we perform external and internal audits. That is studying the factors inside the company as for weaknesses and strengths, and outside the company as for threats and opportunities. Step number 3, we formulate new business and mission statements based on our information that we got from step number 2. Step number 4, we translate the mission into goals. Now, as you follow here, the more we drop down, the more the strategy is clear, which means that we cannot come up with a strategy without studying the market, without studying the internal factors, the external factors, analyzing these factors to come up with the right strategy. So number 5, we formulate strategies to achieve the strategic goals. Then we implement the strategy according to the points mentioned above, and we need to evaluate the performance. So if there's any deficiencies, the company should then modify in the strategies formulations. So what do we mean by the SWOT analysis here? As we said, SWOT is of two domains. The first one is about the internal factors. We refer to this part as strengths and weaknesses. And the second one is about the external factors. Now, the internal factors are within the organization, within the company itself. So as we talk about these factors, we will talk about different issues such as the location of the business itself. We also can talk about issues like the employees being motivated, the capability of the workers, the reputation of the business itself. So these are examples of strengths like strong research group, research and development. So these are things that the company can build up its own strategies. We also have some kind of weaknesses which we may spot out as our study for the internal factors. Like for example, aging machinery. Now this is an example of the weaknesses that the company should get rid of or eliminate so that the strategy they will come up will fit the demand in the market. So if the strategy is based on high quality standards and providing the market or the customers with the best type of product, so this kind of weakness will be very devastating. So this must be eliminated. Other kind of weaknesses can be the lack of financial resources, the impractical policies by the organizations that need to be adopted, employees need to be trained, etc. Now the external factors here, we have the opportunities and threats. Now the opportunities here are many. For example, expanding China markets is one of the examples of opportunities leading to different business entities working in that arena. Now high demand is another kind of opportunities, new technology, new policies, etc. While on the other hand we have other threats, which is another external factors like the merger of two competitors to form single strong one. And instead of having two competitors, now because of this strategy which is merging, you have one bigger, a more powerful competitor. Now the market share of this competitor might expand accordingly, which imposes such kind of threat. So that's why in the strategy the company would like to establish they need to adapt to these new threats. And of course we have so many kind of threats according to the nature of the business itself, and sometimes the threats can be linked to the environment itself, such as the political stabilities, the financial crisis that can affect companies, wars, natural disasters, sometimes the legal environment in the company where the business, in the country where the organization actually operates. Now here, the relationship among strategies in multiple business firms. Some global companies and transnational businesses have different types of strategies according to the activities that this business has. So for example, the corporate strategies, we have business 1, 2, and 3. So it goes like this. There must be a competitive strategy for the business number 1, which supports the overall objectives of the business. And the same issue comes to the second point. If you assume that this business is in United States of America and this is in France, this is in Canada, for example, so the overall corporate objectives will only be achieved through these strategies, these sub-strategies. So that's why we have business 1, they have their own competitive strategy that fits with the market where it operates. So again, we will have to conduct SWOT analysis to come up with the best kind of strategies, and then they will have their functional strategies, which we will talk inshallah later. Same thing with strategy number 2, or the subsidiary in the other country, and the subsidiary or the plant or the branch in the another and the third one. Now the types of strategies here, we have corporate level strategies, which is the overall strategies of the business itself. We have diversification strategies, vertical integration strategies, consolidation strategies, and geographic expansion strategies. Now the reason why companies have different types of strategies is that the nature of the market, the kind of demand in the market, the intensity of competition might require specific kind of strategies. So diversification strategy is about the company moving into new products and adopting new, developing new products and new markets. So we have now new products and new markets, which means that the company will entirely work in a new environment. So this kind of strategy is somehow needed if the competition in the market itself is already intensive. The demand is in a mature stage. The company can no longer trigger more sales. So this strategy will be quite appropriate. We also have other strategies like the vertical integration strategy and the consolidation strategy. Here, companies sometimes need to either merge or take over other businesses in order to expand in the business, which is referred to as vertical integration. Good examples of this kind of strategy is two companies somehow merging into one bigger company, or sometimes it can be based on strategic alliances. So the company will get either to sell its own products in the market instead of wholesalers, or the company can gain the market where raw materials actually are provided to the business itself. So that's why we call it vertical. Within the same line can take over other similar businesses within the same industry. Other strategies such as the geographic expansion strategy. Now this can be found in multinational businesses and transnational companies. Sometimes in businesses where they can duplicate their product and that this product happens to be accepted by other nations or in other countries. Specifically if the culture, language are actually the same. So we refer to these two things as cultural stabilizers, which means that if the language is actually the same, so there's a high possibility that these products can fit both. Specifically we consider the needs and requirements of those different people in different countries. So examples of such kind of businesses are many. We have manufacturing industries, laptops for example, car manufacturing industries, pharmaceutical industries. They all work trying to expand geographically in different territories, areas, but they also take into consideration the level of competition and specific kind of requirements of customers in these countries. That is why we refer to this one as local responsiveness. Now the types of strategies here. At a business level, competitive strategy, this is called business level strategy. We have the cost leadership, differentiation, focus or niche. Cost leadership is a company adopting a low cost leadership position, which means that trying to provide products of reasonably, we say better cost, better prices than the other competitors. So they try to cut down on cost so that the kind of prices offered to the market will be way much better than the competitors. So this can be found in different businesses, like for example toys businesses, some kind of manufacturing industries where the level of income of the customers targeted is fitting this kind of strategy. So China is a good example of countries that operates in such kind of utilizing such kind of strategy. On the other hand, we have differentiation, which refers to the level of differences and the final output. So this kind of strategy is very important, which means that if you want to compete in the market, you have to provide something that is different from what's offered in the market. And this difference is of value to the customer. So that is why we refer to it as a competitive advantage based on differences. We also have focus and niche strategies, sometimes based on a specific segment in the market. Instead of competing the whole market. So, for example, Ferrari cars is actually adopting this strategy, selling the cars to specific segments of people having the same needs and wants of high income, etc. Also, other businesses like selling clothes for kids as an example of niche strategy instead of selling to all ages. Now, achieving strategic fit, as I said before. So the fit point of view, according to Porter, is the following. All of the firm's activities must be tailored to or fit the chosen strategy such that the firm's functional strategy supports its corporate and competitive strategy. Meaning, the company's overall strategy must fit with the functional strategy. And this strategy must fit with the kind of tactics, the everyday operations. So that is why we cannot set strategies that are beyond the capability of the companies or the kind of strategies that the functions cannot achieve. Now, leveraging, according to Hamill here, stretch and leveraging resources, supplementing what you have and doing more with what you have can be more important than just fitting the strategic plan to current resources. So, beside having the strategy fitting the functional strategy, Hamill believes that we have to utilize the given resources in the company. This can be done through innovative and creativity or creative means in order to achieve and utilize what's in hand, so increasing the efficiency of the company itself. Now, strategic human resource management here. The linking of human resource management with strategic goals and objectives in order to improve business performance and develop organization cultures that foster innovation and flexibility. So, as you said before, human resource management is actually linked to the kind of strategies adopted by different functions. So if the function is the product department, marketing, financial, sales, so all these functions have their own strategies. Human resource management will support these departments with the kind of behaviors needed to achieve these strategies, and that is through the right recruiting, right employees, hiring the best employees, compensation system that fits with kind of needed, etc. So here, it involves formulating and executing human resource systems through policies and activities that produce the employee competencies and behaviors. Such kind of behaviors and competencies are the only things companies can use to achieve their own strategies. And that is why we say strategic human resource management is quite comprehensive and directly linked to the overall company's objective and strategies. Now, this is an example. Linking company-wide and human resource strategies. If you assume that the company's competitive advantage or environment here are of the following economic, political, demographic, competitive, and technological trends. So according to those factors, the company will come up with its own strategic situation in which it needs to analyze the internal and external factors. So company's internal strengths and weaknesses, okay, so they come up with a plan accordingly. So after we decide what are the internal factors, the weaknesses, strengths, and external factors, the threats and opportunities, and then we evaluate and analyze this information so that we can come up with the right strategic plan. So for example, should we expand geographically? Should we cut cost? Should we diverse? So the point about diversity or cutting down the cost is actually based on your study here. So coming up with the right plan is actually based on researching, analyzing, and then strategizing. And then we have the company's human resource and of course other functional strategies. Other functional strategies such as you said, the marketing strategy, production strategy, the financial strategy, etc. But we are a lot more concerned about the human resource here. So what are the basic courses of action in terms of functions within the human resource department that will pursue to ensure that the recruiting, selecting, training, appraising, and compensation system support the company's strategic plan? In other words, any kind of business activities, the functions, the policies made by human resource management should support the already established plan, and that we will come up with what we say the organization performance, because the performance of the individual will definitely affect the performance of the organization. That is why human resource strategy is very vivid and very important to the company. Now, strategic human resource challenges here. We have some kind of challenges, of course. So the basic strategic challenges: the corporate productivity and performance improvement efforts, expanded role of the employees in the organization's performance efforts, and of course the increased human resource team involvement in designing of strategic plans. So it's trying to get more commitment, dragging the employees into the zone of decision-making process, increasing the commitment. These are all challenges faced by the human resource department. Now, the components of strategic human resource system: of course, we have professionals, we have policies and practices, and we have the employees' behaviors and competencies, which is what the human resource strategy is actually trying to get. So this is what is the strategic human resource system is supposed to handle. So we have to come up with professionals that deal with certain strategies and different functions, the kind of policies and practices that can help support or leverage the kind of performance. And of course, we need the right behaviors by employees and the best competencies by the employees, either we get from the market, we hire, or by training and developing programs. Now, this is a comparison of human resource practices in high and low performance companies. For example, the number of qualified applicants per position, which is recruiting, is 8.26 in low performance companies, while it is 36%. Percentage hired based on a validated selection test, the kind of test that is valid, is only 4% in low performance company, while it is 29. And as we drop down, we find that the difference is quite big between the low and high performance company in terms of the policies here. So that is why this company is adopting the strategy that support the overall corporate strategies in its own policies and activities. Now, aligning the human resource strategy and actions with business strategy, aligning human resource strategies in terms of what kind of policies and actions the human resource is developing, and to what extent are they linked to the company's overall strategy. So that's why here we have different points. We formulate business strategy. What are the strategic goals of the business? And accordingly, we work on such kind of strategies. Identify workforce requirement based on number one, if the strategy requires such kind of competencies, so human resource management will take such kind of considerations and requirements into their own plans. Formulate human resource strategic policies and activities that fit with the requirements, and finally develop detailed human resource scorecard measures in which they measure 4 elements. Okay, these kind of elements are affiliating with the need of human resource requirements, the kind of policies, the kind of let us say regulations, strategies adopted by human resource management, the functions within this department that can support the overall strategy of the company. Now, simple value chain for Southwest Airlines, which support our point of view here. Remember, we have the overall company's objectives, and we have the human resource strategies. So the primary activities in the Southwest value chain: inbound logistic, operations, outbound logistic, marketing, and services. We're talking about airlines. However, what we have to focus here, how could human resource management support every single department here by the right employees, the right policies, a better compensation system, good training systems, training and development programs that can leverage and increase the competencies of employees, specifically when we talk about customers like marketing and operations, etc. Support activities come from different departments like the general administrations, the technology that can be used to support these activities. This is another example, the strategy or map for Southwest Airlines, which is of 3 different points. First of all, we have the overall goals, like improving the market share, and then we have what must Southwest do in order to achieve these goals, and then how the human resource management can help in achieving these goals, which is exactly the same examples we cited before. Finally, we have the human resource scorecard, which is strategic activity metrics. We refer to metric as a means of measurement we would like to get in order to evaluate the performance of the human resource management. So here, strategic human resources, percentage of employees who can code company strategy and vision. So this is number 1 issue. Management and human resource scorecard, the percentage in a formal human resource plan, including activities such as recruitment, development, and succession plan, which is the training and development of top management or managers or even workers who are of potential leadership positions, who can hold in the future top management positions. Job analysis, the percentage of employees with updated job description. So by using such features, we can measure to what extent the human resource management is adapting strategies that can support the company strategies. So by this, dear students, we come to the end of our session. We talked about these strategies of the companies, and then we discussed how the human resource management is actually supporting directly the overall strategies by providing the requirements for different functions where these functions have their own strategies. By this, we come to the end of our session. You have an attachment where you get your first assignment attached, or your second attachment. This is the second attachment for your subject attached with this session. Thank you very much for listening. I wish you the best and see you inshallah in the next session. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.